When you ask the residents that Trump is claiming to help, they say that they oppose it at a 79% rate. 61% of them feel less safe. Why don't we mobilize the National Guard to the 8 out of 10 red states that are the highest homicide states? He keeps citing the free market, but politicizing companies and allocating capital politically is not the free market. Supply and demand is the free market.
We have a CNN panel further diving into Trump's authoritarian takeover of DC, his attacks on democracy in Texas, and more. So strap in, leave us a like on the video if you can. It helps us out a bunch. It gets us out there in the algorithm, and let's get right to it.
Here are the facts. When you ask the residents that Trump is claiming to help, they say that they oppose it at a 79% rate. 61% of them feel less safe. When you ask them what they care about the most, it's not homicides. It's not carjackings. It's Trump's occupation of D.C. So the question then becomes, who are we helping here? Who are we helping here? The idea that public policy isn't meant to serve the public in D.C. is absolutely absurd when Trump was claiming he was helping the public. So the question that I then want to ask is, why don't we mobilize the National Guard to the 8 out of 10 red states that are the highest homicide states? If this decreases crime, and that's sufficient enough to mobilize the National Guard against the explicit will of the people of D.C.
Well, that's just a bad look politically, of course. You can't admit that red states have crime, and this is all just to rile up your base and flex your guns against your perceived political enemies. It's funny to me how MAGA no longer cares about the weaponization of government. I mean, a civil lawsuit was a step too far, but storming the streets of blue cities, that's fine. Arresting every blue lawmaker you can is fine. It's almost like they never really cared and they just didn't want Trump held accountable, and that was what they felt like gave them the moral high ground. But it is insane, right? Like, this is where we're at. We have a president mobilizing the troops on a population of American citizens against its will. Isn't this why all the MAGA people say they need their guns? Like, now they also don't care about that? Like, they're proclaiming that this makes them feel less safe. So who is it for? It was crazy that he did it once, right? You did it in LA, you got it out of your system, you mobilized the Marines, but now you're doing it again. And both of them are blue areas. And multiple higher crime red areas are being ignored. Like, there's nothing you can call this except exactly what it is.
Do you see really that this trolling of Trump and social media, which is doing gangbusters for Gavin Newsom's social media accounts, what's the pathway to actually bringing voters back to the Democratic Party? Because the internet is not real life. That is the truth. And I'm not sure I'm seeing Democrats understanding that.
Well, there's two parts to it. First, you have to drive the attention, then you drive the narrative. So right now, he's getting the attention piece in the attention economy, and he's doing it quite well. He's getting millions of views. I also don't agree that Obama's twisting himself in pretzels. I think it's a completely logical statement. Norms in a democracy work a lot like consent. You can't have meaningful consent when only one side is engaging in that, and you can't have meaningful norms when one side is engaging. So when Obama says we're okay with temporary redistricting, that's what it is, temporary redistricting, proportional to what Texas is doing, I don't think that's very hypocritical. But when it comes to Newsom, get the attention, drive the narrative. That's what Democrats should do.
That is perfectly put. The analogy I often use is it's like basketball. A game of basketball will never work if one side is playing by the rules of football. Republicans are cheating at every corner. They have long been gerrymandering. They're trying to pass laws that suppress the voting rights of minorities. They rejected mail-in ballots in 2024 whenever possible. And now they're trying to rewrite an already gerrymandered state mid-decade, which is unprecedented, to give themselves even more seats when they're already gerrymandered over 20 seats to Democrats 7, with theirs done partisanly and Democrats done with independent commissions, so there's a lot less bias. At some point, you cannot keep expecting Democrats to go, we'll just vote our ways out of this and be fair. No, like, we're going to meet them where they are to protect the systems that we, and only we as a party, find valuable in this country, that being the Constitution, democracy, and the rule of law.
You keep citing the free market, but politicizing companies and allocating capital politically is not the free market. Supply and demand is the free market. And you say that Biden reshaped the EV industry in his image.
Oh, yeah,
Trump is reshaping the entire tariff global order in his image. He's placing tariffs on countries that make no sense whatsoever.
If I told you had to buy a certain vegetable at the store, and if you didn't like it, it was just too bad, that was the only one you could buy, and I was going to subsidize that vegetable industry, and oh, by the way, I was going to regulate that by the time 2030 came along, that's the only vegetable you could buy.
If I told you I'm going to place tariffs on every single country with no discretion whatsoever, and you're going to say he's not reshaping the global order?
I don't get this guy's point, truly. Is he trying trying to say that we shouldn't be trying to grow the EV industry? That doesn't make much sense to me. We subsidize the EV industry because Trump largely ignored investing in it in his first term due to politicizing climate change for whatever dumb reason. Thus, we were years behind China in the global market, and we want to keep any edge on them economically because it gives us an edge with them militarily. I mean, Trump heavily subsidized agriculture in his first term because of the China trade war and how it was devastating farmers. Was that him shaping the agriculture industry in his image? Like, it's odd, right? And it's just meant to be spooky, confusing language for those who already don't really understand what the conversation is about, but they know they hate the buzzword EV, so they're supposed to not like it. We subsidize oil far more than we do EVs, like 10 to 1, right? Which then produce more downstream costs on taxpayers because of negative environmental effects. The subsidies you should be mad at are subsidies to oil executives, of which Trump is doing a lot more of, not the ones with the EV industries. I mean, what are we doing?